everybody, welcome back to the range. Tom here, and today we're doing this 1940 Ford pickup truck. Oh, I got something real nice planned for you guys to see today. One of my favorite truck castings, I gotta say, it's because it's really neat to do. I've done a couple of other ones using this exact casting. So why don't we go ahead and let's get started. I had this casting laying around. It was just kind of like in one of my dump bins, I should say. I was trying to find a casting to go with kind of something I was going to do. And at first, my first plan to do with this was not what it ended up like. Because I was not for sure at first what all I was going to do. I knew I was going to mash it up with something, and you guys will see what I mashed it up with here in a little bit. And, there's some cutting, there's some JB Weld usage, there's no screw holes done into it because there's really no need to do it. Some things I had to modify before the final result. You'll see that later on. But I really like this truck casting. It was really fun. It's always fun to do this truck casting and do a combo build or something with it. I'm trying to get more videos out. I'm trying to come up with some better ideas. I'm trying to come up with some, things I haven't done yet. I might do something later on that, just might be a resto mod or just a restoration. I got to get some decals. I got a couple of ones I want to do a restoration on. And eventually I'm going to I still got to get some more stuff. I got to get some stuff to help me organize. You guys see here that I cut the front fenders off, I cut the bed off, and I'm going to be kind of trying to smooth it out. Guys, I'm not going to give any more hints on what it is anymore in the actual description or anything like that. You guys will just kind of have to be surprised, and you actually get to see me doing some detail painting and stuff like that in this video. Normally I don't show the paint job because at the time during videos, I really don't know what color I'm going to paint it. It just kind of happens. But, excuse me. When it comes to painting, I try to keep it, because I might end up doing some changes, or I might end up doing, some different patterns or different paint schemes or, different colors. I just don't know how it's going to work out. Sometimes I put a little too much reducer into the paint, it gets all runny and stuff, and then I got to clean out my airbrush and, repaint it or something and put it in the stripper, clean it off, whatever. But, I knew I wasn't going to use part of the base. I knew I was going to use it. But, I was wanting this sucker to turn out pretty good. I wanted it to turn out interesting. I was kind of talking to Brad from Full Custom Diecast, and he got a couple sneak peeks in of what I was doing, but he hasn't really seen the full extent to the build that I'm doing. Like I said, I'm just trying to try something new, and this goes back to a while back. There was an old buddy build that was put out. I can't remember if it was between me and him or if it was just in general, or if I put it out or something like that. But he kind of reminded me of it. So I kind of was like, you know what? I'm going to try it out. I've already got it going. I got part of it showing what I'm doing. So he kind of brought that buddy build up, and it made me think, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it. So, here's the kind of the surprise, Matchbox school bus. But I only got one other of these, and it's a prison bus. But this one I just already had stripped down, cut the top off of it. Because originally, what I was going to do is I was going to put a motor in the back, make it like a dragster, kind of school bus. I was going to put a whole different front end on it. That was what I was going to do to it. So I went ahead and I was just thinking during this time I was going to try to probably find some plastic and put it up and put like the plastic up on the roof of it to actually make it to where you can see in it. But instead I decided to leave it open. So you guys are probably either thinking a couple of ideas. First I thought about making a hearse. I thought about making an actual school bus between the two. I thought about making some kind of dragster set up like a van. I thought about doing like a Mad Max style. There's a lot of thoughts that was crossing my mind before I actually started thinking about the buddy build. I had to do a lot of filing, as you've seen, a lot of cutting. I used some JB Weld, and I'm gonna have to go get some more because this one kind of took up quite a bit, and I kind of used not as much as I made, I should say. I had to do a lot of filing, a lot of using my Dremel tool, and I'm glad I got my new Dremel tool because it's helped out a lot. I had to readjust the connection between the front cab and the back of the school bus to actually get it even and sitting flush and sitting where it's level on the ground, where the base and everything would go, connect into it. The hardest part during this build, besides waiting on the JB Weld to harden, was trying to figure out what wheels I was going to use for this thing. And, it took me to like the final portion, the final video footage of what wheels I was going to use. The biggest thing I was worried about when I was doing the JB Weld is when it got all, when it's dried up and stuff, is making sure I can smooth it out to where it looked like it was pretty much made to go together. It would look like just one casting. And luckily enough, I got it pretty close, I gotta admit. I kind of put some JB Weld on the sides so I can smooth, get it to where it'll center up. I use a piece of styrene to help cover up the gap on the top of the cab and from the roof of the back of the bus to the cab of the pickup truck. So I used styrene, glued it on, and then I put some more JB Weld over top of it, and you'll see that here in a few minutes, just to get it to where, I covered where all the gaps were at, where it was going to be smooth. When you look at it, it kind of looked like one part, just one piece. And, I was trying, the hardest part was like trying to figure out that there's little gaps between where the sides were at, and it had like a little window hole you'll see here in a few minutes. Or maybe, I don't know. But there's little gaps that, I couldn't get any tape on the inside to hold when I put the JB Weld in it. So I kind of had to glob it in there to get it to where it would fill up the hole gap, the gaps or what holes, whatever you want to call it. Get it to where it would actually fill it in and not have to worry about when I sanded it down there'd be a lot of pits or anything like that. So luckily enough, I got it to where it'd work perfectly. And this build was like one of my fun builds, and it's been a while since I've actually done a build like this. I know you guys have seen my mashup with the Kafer Racer pickup truck build, and I'm trying to get back into making mashup builds too. I've already had to do some axles, tubes on it, had to kind of modify it a little bit to where the base would set flush, and I did that off screen. I did a few things off screen. I had to make it to where the interior would fit, and luckily enough I got that to where it would fit. Had to kind of cut it to actually get it to fit around that piece of styrene tubing for the rear axle. And you guys are probably wondering, okay, he's got some big axle tubes on here with the styrene. What is he doing with this? Well, usually, you never know what I'm going to do. That's the thing. You might think it's one thing at the beginning, but it ends up turning out to be something totally different in the end. And like I said, I got most of the gaps filled in. It actually turned out really good. Everything was really smooth when I sanded it all down. I had to cut an opening in the glass so it can get it to fit, so it still had glass in it. Or not glass, but the windscreen or windshield, or you know what I'm talking about. But I had to cut that out to where it'll fit in there. And some spots I kind of cut a bad spot in it, so it didn't really come out thing. This piece was I can't remember what they're called, but they're for the sides of the pickup trucks, the stepping stools or Nerf bars or what? Yeah, Nerf bars. I ended up using that one for a bumper, but it ended up breaking off, so I didn't worry about putting it back on. I just left it off because it actually looked really cool. These exhausts I took off of a Muscle Machine Cobra. Where they were positioned at, the body would not fit all the way down, so I had to readjust those, and you'll see where I readjusted those two in the final results. I really was thinking about putting stacks on this, but I didn't have any spare stacks laying around. I didn't really feel like making any at the time, so I just kind of put them on the sides. You see here, I kind of trying to put them back behind the door steps, and it just didn't work out because I could not fit the body onto the base. And unfortunately, when I was putting this together, the base was kind of off a little bit, but you can't really tell, and that's the good thing about it. Like, once you actually see it all together, painted and, pretty much 100% complete, you can't really tell it's off-centered. Everything flows nicely. I went ahead and I painted the interior. I already kind of was doing most of it off-screen, but I kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of an insight of what the interior looks like. It was like some kind of black-brown paint for the seats, and I decided to take some like aluminum or steel paint and paint the floor in between the seats and stuff to kind of give it that school bus kind of look. I didn't do much detail than that. You see here, I already primered it, and then I put a rust color down. And now you're going to get to see what it's going to be turning into. I used the water salt technique to do the paint chipping and stuff like that to get a rust look to it. You guys have seen me do this before many times on my first channel I had. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to log back into that channel. So these videos are starting pretty much back all over from number one. But, I was kind of here and there is where I kind of put the salt. I didn't put it everywhere. I just put it in certain spots because I knew at this point I was going to be using weathering powder and just kind of go off of it. But I wanted the darker rust to kind of be pretty much the base of it when I did it. So when I would start using other rust and the other weathering powders, because, it actually started looking like it was pretty cool. Like it was kind of up against the guardrail in some areas. It looked like it was rusting out and stuff like that. First, the one thing is I don't like using the yellow paint that I have because I've always had problems with the yellow paint either being too thick when I'm painting it or being too thin, or it was just hard for me to actually get the yellow paint right off the bat. But the way when I was weathering this, I was really starting to love how the rust was looking on it, and it was starting to definitely look like some kind of rat rod. And that's what I was going for, was a rat rod look, and I didn't think about doing a rat rod until like about halfway through building this thing, because I hadn't even chosen the wheels yet. But when I was doing the weathering powder, I had a lot of fun doing it. It's been a while since I've done a rat rod. Lately I've been trying to just do some clean paint schemes, and with decals and stuff. There are no decals on this. I did detail up like to the tail lights and certain parts of it, wanting to kind of give it that rustic out, custom school bus look. Definitely had to do the yellow, and at first I wasn't even going to do the yellow, but I was like, because of my problems with the yellow in the past. But I went ahead and did it yellow, and I'm kind of glad I did, because it looks really cool. Took some black paint, just kind of detailed up the steps to give it a little, some kind of adjustment. Detailed those little black lines on the side of the school bus. I wish I would have had some school bus decals. I would have definitely loved to put those on there, but I didn't have any, and I haven't been able to find any. And this is probably going to be the only school bus I do for a while, because don't get me wrong, I thought it was fun and everything. It's really hard to come up with some wheel ideas, and I had so many different wheel ideas I was wanting to do. It's just they weren't fitting what kind of idea I had in mind. And I ended up having some wheels. Oh man, it was from a Muscle Machines hauler, I think, is where I got them from. And you kind of see them with the white walls right there. Those are the tires I ended up using for this build. And like at first, once I put them on there, I just, I was thinking, I was like, I don't know exactly how they're going to look, but I'm glad I used them, I'll tell you that much, because it turned out pretty cool. And here I am detailing up like the tail lights, the backup lights, the brake lights. I even painted over the little license plate, there. I didn't have no license plates, because a lot of my decals that had license plates on it, just, I don't know what happened to them. I really enjoyed doing this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video, because this was really a fun build. And Brad over Full Custom Diecast, man, I hope you get a chance to check this out. Hope everybody gets a chance to check it out, I should say. Because once the video's posted, and for a little while, I'm going to end up making a reel on Instagram with it. Never know what kind of music background it's going to have. But you see, I'm doing the detail of the black. I didn't do much with the hood scoop, because I ended up attaching that back on after taking it off. But I thought about doing a motor sticking out of it, but it was just kind of too complicated to try to fit a motor in that little portion of it. And honestly, it looks cool. I really like how it is. So why don't we go ahead and check out what we started off with. This 1940 pickup truck, Ford pickup truck, dragster style truck, pretty cool looking. I really like the style, how low it sits. Really cool casting. Probably one of my favorite truck castings, like I said before. It's fun to do stuff. So without further ado, let's check out the final results.
I'm taking it up higher. I'm taking it up higher. I'm taking it up a mountain. It's time to jump. My eyes got flickering flames. Up to the sky, make it rain. Breaking the frames, breaking the chains. Ain't nobody holding the reins. Turning it on, trigger the bomb. I got the world in my palm. Staying calm in the storm. Where I was born, I call it home. I'm hitting the hardest. I'm hitting the target.